What is happening, guys? Mike here. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to take a quick second and just thank you guys for sticking with me for the past 5 years here on the channel and making it possible for me to do what I've done and what I'm doing right now. You see, this is my first video in my new dedicated space for hair product reviews, and I really am super excited about it, and I hope you love what we have done here with the space. I mean, my wife really gets full credit for this awesome wall here that you see behind me. I think she did a fantastic job. I'm really excited about it. And you know, this wall, I wanted to just explain it real quick. This wall represents not really the best hair products, not even really my favorite hair products, but instead it represents the history of the channel. These are our products here that I've reviewed, I've tested, I've used as an inspiration, I've enjoyed using. It's a multitude of different things. It represents where we've been, and using it here in the new space represents where we're going, which hopefully is up. Straight up. Subscribers, views, everything. I'm really just hoping that this is a new chapter for the channel, and I really just want to make it clearer than I think I've ever been. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider showing that little bit of support in keeping this channel running. Thank you very much to those of you who have already done it, and for the support that you guys have shown for the past 5 years. It's been amazing. It's been unbelievable to me. But now though, a new chapter of the channel begins, and as usual, we're going to hit the ground running with an all new product review. Here we go. All right, thank you once again for joining me here today for this all-new review. As the title suggests, we are going to be looking at the new line of releases from the Lockhart's, the Greasall end-all lineup of products. And when looking things over, both on their site and talking to the Lockhart's themselves, I thought, I could put together a pretty nice little description of what this is and what the goals were. But then I had the thought that, as usual, it's almost always better to go straight to the source.
Hey, Mike. Sorry to interrupt you like this. Just wanted to pop in real quick and say hello to all your subscribers. Hello, everybody. And kind of give you a little bit of information on the whole concept of Greasall End All. Basically, it is our way of bringing the two things that I'm very passionate about, and that is extreme music and extremely cool hair. And we were also able to showcase Goon Grease and everything that surrounds the Goon Grease, the now Goon Grease line, showcase what we currently have and also showcase what is on the horizon.
So what we have here is the line itself is made up of 3 different products, each one with its own theme and its own scent. We got one familiar product, Goon Grease, the original Goon Grease. We got one semi-familiar product, the water-based Goon Grease, and then a totally new product here, an unorthodox water-based pomade. And really, I think the best thing to do now is to just jump right in with the descriptions and then the demos, because we are reviewing all 3 products here in the same video, so we got a lot of info to cover. So let's go ahead and start with the unorthodox water-based pomade. According to the brand, the Blackened death metal, as it's referred to, is an unorthodox water-based pomade that celebrates the hybrid metal genre known as Blackened death metal with a hybrid formula of water and petro. Within that, it rocks a heavy to firm hold, high shine with firm texture and a scent they call demigod. This is also very cool to me because this is the first unorthodox water-based pomade technically from this brand. Looking inside the jar here, we're met with a light green colored pomade, somewhat similar to the famous Goon Grease, but not as deep of a green in color. Digging into it too, it's somewhat firm, but still a bit soft as well. It's not really hard to scoop at all, but it's not really creamy either. It's kind of in the middle. It does also have a bit of a waxy feel initially until you break it down, which does happen fairly easily for how thick it feels in the jar and in the scoop. It actually breaks down quite nicely. Next though, we do have the water-based Goon Grease, and melodic death metal is the theme for this one, and the artwork here is probably my favorite of the three personally, but this is based on the recently released water-based Goon grease, but with some tweaks to cure some previously discussed issues that occurred in the original formula. The changes that they brought to this formula from the original allow users to apply the product into dry hair without any clumping issues that we saw in the original release. But like the original release, this offers a firm hold with high shine, firm texture, and an exotic scent called Nocturne. Looking inside the jar on this one too, we have pretty much the same thing that we saw with the water-based Goon the last time around, which is a kind of dark green looking orthodox water-based formula. I do think this one feels a bit more wet coming out of the jar this time around, and inside the palm here, that feeling definitely continues. It's much more slick in the breakdown this time around, and I do think that was one of the changes that was made to reduce the clumps that we saw in the original release, and it for sure feels more hydrated to me at this stage in the game, but at the same time, I also don't quite feel like it's as sticky as the original, so that might come into play later. Lastly though, we do have the original Goon. The old school hair grease, or old school death metal as this is called here, is a celebration of the roots of death metal with the classic Goon grease formula and this custom artwork and scent. Being as this is the OG Goon, of course, that means it offers a heavy to firm hold with high shine and a firm texture according to the brand. The scent they added to this one in place of the original Goon scent is called the Philosopher, and it has notes of bergamot, pink pepper, leather-bound books, and incense. Inside the jar on this one is exactly what is expected. I mean, it's the original Goon grease formula. Nothing has changed. It's the exact same as Goon grease. There's been no formula changes for this one. It's the same formula that's still produced to this day in the original Goon tin. I mean, the only changes here are the packaging and the custom scent pretty much. So it's everything one would expect if you've ever used Goon grease before. Alright, so now that we've talked about all three products, let's just jump straight into our demos here. We've got a lot to cover. We are going to fully demo 2 out of the 3 products here. I didn't really think it was worth it to fully demo the Goon grease since almost all of you have already used that or have become familiar with that one, and you know, we're kind of limited on time and we've got 2 new products here that I really wanted to cover. So we're going to be talking about the Unorthodox water-based pomade and the new water-based Goon. And for the Unorthodox water-based, I did test it on both damp or towel dried hair and of course dry hair, and it actually did work pretty well on both. I mean, there were a few things that I didn't quite prefer with the damp hair, like it kind of firmed up a little more, and those are things that happen to me a lot when I style on damp hair, so that's really what led me to my usual preferred styling method of dry hair. And of course that's what I'm going to show you here today, so let's start that right now. This is my hair fully washed and blow dried, no pre-stylers, no tonics, no anything. It's just freshly washed and blow dried hair, and I am going to be adding in 2 full scoops of the pomade. And as I'm applying them to my hair, the first thing that I can tell you is that the slickness and the shine makes it very easy to work it through your hair. It works with dry hair with very minimal tugging. It's actually quite nice to apply with dry hair. This also makes styling very easy as well because the comb just kind of glides through the hair, and it makes sculpting and getting your shape and style, building volume, things like that, really just effortless. You know, the hair sticks together nicely. You can stack it, get some volume, make a nice shape. It's pretty easy. Now though, let's take a look at the same style at the end of the day, 8 hours later. And what I want to add to this here is the day that I tested this, we had temperatures around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is how it still held up. I do want to mention that we have a bit of hardening going on there, just a little bit, but I do think that with that being there, I think it helped keep it in place to an extent, not too much, but as I move it around, you can see that there's still a lot of control there as well, and that's really helping provide that structure and extra hold even at 8 hours. Next though, we do have the water-based Goon, and this is one that I was very interested in looking at closely because of the issues that were found in the original release and the original formula. Issues that I read about online that some of you guys had, and issues that I was able to duplicate myself, if you remember, during my review. So for this one, I did it on dry hair, of course, not only because that's my preferred method of styling, but that's also where the clumping and everything happened last time. So I really wanted to take a look at that and see if that would happen again with this new formula. So let's take a look at how that came out so you guys can see it for yourself. Here is my hair fully reset for this demo. Once again, freshly washed, blow dried, no pre-stylers. We're just testing out the water-based Goon. That's it. Just like the last demo too, I'm rolling with 2 scoops here, and immediately that slickness that I mentioned in the breakdown comes right into play. This one here is much more slick than stick. It glides through the hair. It's got very little resistance when you apply it. And once again, that also plays very nicely into the combing as well. And while that part is super nice, you know, the sculpting and, you know, it going through the hair is very nice, I am noticing that there's not that stickiness or tack that I am used to seeing, not only with just gel types, but what I saw with the previous formula. And I was kind of expecting that, honestly, based on what we saw last time around. I was expecting a little bit more stickiness and tack than what I'm seeing. I do think there's a great helping of control there from that slickness though, and probably the oils present in the formula, but it is interesting to me that it's not as sticky and utilizing that as actual hold. Moving straight into the end of day results though, this is 8 hours in, we can see that the style has turned into something very peculiar for a gel type. First off, there's hardly any hardening. I mean, that's weird. And second, it feels so soft, it's almost like a hair wax. I mean, this is for sure not what I was expecting at all. And I'm sure it's not what any of you were expecting either. I mean, you can see the control that it has. It's got that free flowing movement, which is really not an easy task to achieve without making a product sticky, honestly, achieving that level of control. But this is definitely not what I think anybody was expecting. And it's not bad. It's just completely different than what I was expecting. I mean, I can move it around, get a lot of volume, I can get some even a little texture in there. I mean, this is crazy. Man, I gotta say, I definitely wasn't expecting that for the water-based Goon. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but we'll talk about it more in my final thoughts. Let's move along here into the scent category here. Let's start with the Unorthodox water-based pomade, and for that one, it's got notes of pineapple, blood orange, and oak moss, and I think it smells pretty good. I mean, it's not the best out of the 3 in my opinion. I don't think by far it's the best out of the 3, but it is good. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, or it smells bad. I'm just saying I have a personal favorite out of the 3, and it's actually the one on the old school grease. That one I think is just a fantastic scent. It's the one that's the mix of bergamot, pink pepper, and that leather bound books. I don't really get any hints of the leather bound books on it. I said boots. I don't get any of the hints of the leather bound books. I don't get any of that in there. It's just a really light scent. It's not really a cologne scent. It's just, it's light and it's smooth, and I think it's actually pretty good. The last scent is called Nocturne. It's on the water-based Goon, and this is actually Steve's favorite scent, and I do think it's one of the most exotic scents I think that Lockhart has ever put out. I mean, it's got this like spicy incense vibe going on there, and it's got this, you know, notes of rosewood and all this other stuff that's going on there. And really, it's a very cool scent. It was just a bit strong for my scent allergies, to be honest, but I am really excited to see them put out something like this, because as Steve said, it shows where things can go for the future, which for me, I think is very cool. Moving on now though to the washout here, I think it's pretty straightforward to describe. For 2 of them, the Unorthodox Pomade and the water-based Goon, water brought out the majority of the buildup that is felt in the hair, but ultimately shampoo was needed to remove every trace of the product, which to me still qualifies as an easy washout. Goon Grease, on the other hand, was not meant to have an easy washout, you know, with water or with one shampoo. It is an oil-based pomade, so it's obviously not going to come out, you know, easy like the other 2, but it does come out easier with the conditioner method. For those of you who haven't tried that yet, I have tried it several times, and Goon Grease does respond really well to the conditioner method. Now though, because of time, I'm moving, you know, a little quicker here. My final verdict on these products. There is definitely some cool things happening here within this small little release. I do have some criticism as usual too, and I'll share that with you guys, but overall there's some awesome things going on here, and I almost think really that these are worth it just as collector's items. Really, I mean, that the labels are just really well designed. I mean, I love the printing that came out with these, the jar choices. I think it was just a really good choice going with the green, and then these labels are just awesome. I mean, they're just so detailed. I think they just look really awesome on the shelf. So that's my 2 cents on that. But if you're already a Goon Grease fan, or you're already, you know, using Goon Grease, then really, since it's the same formula, the only reason to get this, if that's you, is to experience the cool jar and the new scent. Everything else is the exact same, so I really don't need to go into that too much. The water-based Goon, on the other hand, this one for me, you know, since they made the changes, I wanted to go into this one a little deeper. I do think that the changes that they made were good because they eliminated all the problems that were present in the original formula. None of the clumping or anything like that. You know, you can apply it to dry hair now, and it works really well. I kind of wish, though, this is my criticism, I kind of wish that it had more hold. And by that I mean more sticky hold, not just control. The endurance and the styling, all of that was solid. You know, I am a fan of the changes they made. I just wish that it had a little bit more stickiness that was present in the formula for me to use to my advantage. The Unorthodox water-based pomade, though, I made this one last because personally this one was my favorite out of the 2 new ones that were introduced with this line. This one was personally my favorite. I seriously applaud the Lockhart's team on this one. It's so easy to style with. The hold is super nice. The endurance was even nicer than the styling experience. I mean, overall, it just checked all the boxes for me. You know, I did notice a bit of hardening during the endurance test, and in an unorthodox water-based pomade, I don't care much for hardening. I like to save that for the gel types and things like that, so that would be my piece of criticism, was that it did harden up in my hair, even in dry hair, which is a little bit odd for a product of this type. But I mean, I got to give it some props too. It did really well on a 90-degree day. I mean, it's got to be that mix of petro and water that really gives it that strength. You know, that was a killer endurance test. So I think it did extremely well given those circumstances, and it was really a joy to style with for me. That, though, I believe does it. I believe that covers the entire Greasall End All lineup. If you'd like to check these out, I do have links in the description there. While you're there checking that out at the Lockhart site, don't forget to also check out the Nevermore and Phantasm collabs. Those are both there and in stock right now, so if you haven't tried those, you absolutely need to. Those are awesome products as well. If you'd also be so kind as to like this video and subscribe to the channel, it takes a quick second, just click the button. I'd really appreciate that. Make sure you also comment down below which of the 3 was your favorite. I am really interested in hearing what you guys think about this release, and if you've used it, what your experience has been as well. But that is it for this review. I will, of course, be back with you guys again here very soon. Things are up and operational now, so I'll be back with you guys again very soon here, and as always, take it easy. I'll see you next time.
Oh, and Mike, don't put this in the video, but when you get a second, let's hop on a chat, talk a little bit about hitting the pendulum.